Hello and welcome to the TaylorMade Workshop. I'm going to show you today a fitting of our new headers for the Honda CBR 1000RR, or if you're in Europe, that would be the Fireblade. When you've unwrapped your package, you'll get 2 sets of headers, a collector, 6 springs and a spring puller. Now I've just got some light oil here, and the first thing to do is to assemble the header into the collector. So just a little bit of light oil. This is cylinders 1 and 2. This is the collector. So we want to fit this into here. Goes in there. And then these are cylinders 3 and 4. A little bit of light oil. This just is to ease the assembly, but do remember you've got some light oil on there, so when you fire it up it's going to smoke a little bit as this oil burns off. So there we have the headers. You can see the spring tabs here, so you can just line up approximately the headers with the spring tabs, and there we have the headers. Next, we just want to remove the spigots, because we're going to put these onto the engine first prior to assembly. Off come the spigots. Now, just before getting into the bike, what I would like to show you is what I have found to be an essential tool, and this is a ratcheting wrench. You don't have much space behind the radiator to get at the bolts, so I would strongly recommend that you grab one of these. So off to the bike. Now I've removed the bolts and released the inner radiator cover, and so the fairing is now unsupported. And the trick with removing the panel is to slide it forwards first to release the clips, like that. So remember, push it forwards and then lift the flap over the air duct, and the fairing side comes off. Here we are with the bike, and as you can see, our test bike has our GP2 exhaust system. So we're going to take this off, but please remember that these instructions are in addition to the instructions to the muffler that you have purchased. So whether you've bought our underbelly design or our GP2 design, the fitting of the headers to the engine is going to be the same, and then you would follow the instructions for fitting your particular exhaust. The bolts required to be removed to remove the fairing are 2 plastic rivets, 1 self-tapping bolt, and then these 2 bolts here. The 2 plastic bolts are located behind here and here. The self-tapping screw, this one, is behind here, and the 2 bolts here, one is located up at the front above the air tunnel, and the second one is at the rear of the fairing here. Now that the fairing panels are removed, we're going to release the bottom mount of the radiator. That's an 8mm socket or hex head, and then we're going to loosen the rear of the exhaust, and that's a 12mm hex head. So just release the bolt there, and as you can see, I've got some handy trays here to keep all the bolts in. Now you remember the nifty ratcheting wrench. Here is my tail mill wrench, and we're going to go in here and release each of the studs. As you move in towards the center of the engine, each bolt gets more and more inaccessible. So watch your knuckles, and you can also push the radiator forwards. We've got all 8 of the nuts off, and now the stock headers will slip down and away. Now we're going to bolt the spigots directly to the cylinder head. But first of all, you need to make sure that they're oriented correctly to catch the spring tabs. So here we have cylinders 3 and 4, and you can see that the spigot is rotated clockwise. However, for cylinders 1 and 2, the spigot is rotated the other way, anti-clockwise, and the spring tabs are on the bottom. So now I'm going to bolt these directly to the engine. We have the spigots installed, and we've reused the stock gaskets. The nuts are tightened firmly, but not so much that they bend the backing plate of the spigot. And you'll also notice that we have the springs in position in their holes. So I've offered the headers up to the engine, and I've mounted cylinders 3 and 4 onto the spigots. They're not pressed fully home yet. And the other thing to bear in mind is that we need this bracket at the back to be on the right hand side of the mounting tab on the frame. So now I've got these onto the spigots, I'm going to go over to cylinders 1 and 2 and mount those on the spigots. Now I have cylinders 1 and 2 on their spigots, and you may just need to twist the collector down here to get them to line up horizontally and maintain the bracket on the right hand side of the chassis mounting. The headers are on, all 4 are on their spigots, and the final thing is to use the spring puller included in your kit to mount the spring onto the header, and then don't forget the collector, the springs on the collector down at the bottom here, and finally the bolt for the bracket on the other side. Just reuse the stock bolt. So there we have it. The headers are on, and now you're ready to put your choice of muffler and follow the instructions for that particular design. So thank you for watching. Safe riding. Have fun. Cheerio.